Well, welcome back. This week we're covering Module 12. Module 12 is all about total quality management and lean production. And so be sure to read chapter 16 and 17 so that you don't miss anything. This is just an overview, but these two chapters are heavy with a lot of information. All right, so let's get started then. Now, lean production philosophy and techniques seek the elimination of waste and continuous improvement, and they were developed for repetitive manufacturing and are probably the most applicable these days. However, many basic concepts are appropriate to any form of a manufacturing organization. They're, Lean, TQM, Six Sigma. These are all the ones that we'll be discussing today. They're now being adopted for even service-oriented operations like healthcare these days. And so we'll cover also things like waste now and major concepts in lean production. So so let's look at lean manufacturing here. Lean manufacturing, which is also referred to as lean production, is a systematic approach to production that aims at minimizing waste while also maximizing productivity. Now, the process was developed by Toyota, as far back as 1940. That's how advanced they were. And we're still using lean manufacturing concepts today, and it's been adopted by many companies across the globe. So lean manufacturing is based on that principle of continuous improvement. Continuous improvement in that if we invest in training and employees and also invite employees to look for ways to improve the processes, then it's going to be beneficial for the entire company. So lean philosophy aims to create this whole culture where everybody's invited to improve not only themselves but also the company processes. So it emphasizes the importance of quality over quantity, and it aims to deliver products that meet or exceed the customer specification. Now, since lean is mostly about waste elimination, let's take a look at some of these wastes that happen in manufacturing. So so why is why is it essential to even eliminate waste according to lean philosophy? So the principles of lean say that the ultimate goal is to provide perfect customer value. So anything that provides value to that customer is preserved. Everything else is considered waste. Some waste is inevitable because of physical constraints, maybe regulations or safety considerations. Still, most organizations find that they're engaged in some unnecessary activities, or maybe they're using more resources than is strictly required. So the first type of waste would be defects and mistakes. So recently, I ordered a chair online. It's the sort that requires some assembly. When it arrived, the packaging was missing one of the legs. Ugh. So I contacted the seller. They sent me a new one. They said that the expense and the hassle of returning the defective package were just not worth the effort to keep it. So there's not much I could do with a three-legged chair, even though they gave my money back, but this is a perfect example of how mistakes cause waste. And here are a few more. Other types of mistakes could be, if you sell a software and it's full of bugs and now you have to recode it. Or maybe you do create a misdiagnosis in healthcare that leads to unnecessary tests or repeated tests and treatments. Third example comes to mind would be, products that are shipped to the wrong address, manufactured items that just don't meet the customer specification, or any errors in data entry, or information that just isn't understood. Then it creates a lot of miscommunications and rework. And so the second type of waste that Lean looks at is waiting. The waste of waiting comes in two forms. People and processes often wait because the next step in the process isn't ready for them. Like, for example, if you're waiting in line at a store, that's a waste. Or they're waiting because they don't have the inputs or the materials or the information to act on things. So, And so a couple of examples of that kind of waiting waste would be where if your quality assurance engineers are waiting for that code to be developed, emergency room patients that are just waiting around for the test result and they're blocking all the corridors for where other patients can't take a seat in the waiting room. Landscapers who end up waiting for the sod to be to deliver, airplanes that are waiting at the gate for the gates to open, or maybe even a completed entree that's waiting to be garnished before it gets passed to the customer. The third type of waste that is transportation. Now, not all transportation is waste. Of course, about unnecessary movements of products, parts, and equipment and other items do add expense and risks to processes without adding value. Now, transportation also applies to information as well. So, for example, you end up having an email. You send an email out, but it doesn't have the file attached. That's a waste because now you have to go back and regenerate that email, or rather than storing that email in a central location. Other examples of waste. Transportation related waste would be sending unsold products to the store back to the warehouse, or if you're ordering parts or products from a very distant supplier when you know well that there's one right within walking distance from you, or even moving equipment from one construction site to another, because now those construction workers could have been contributing to building the building, but instead now they're occupied with going back to the old site and taking all this stuff with them. So the waste of transportation is often related to just poor workspace design. Other wastes, or like inventory or overproduction, can contribute to the waste of transportation. Now, another type of waste that Lean looks at would be overproduction. Now, nowadays, just about everybody's familiar with just-in-time manufacturing and inventory management. Businesses are careful not to create products before there's a demand, and with good reason. Because if you have overproduction, it kind of ties up the resources and increases the likelihood of inventory and transportation waste. Overproduction can also mean that you're making too much of something, or you're just making it too early. So, some examples would be, a buffet. A buffet in a restaurant, that you see at the end of the night, they dump so much of that into the garbage. Hospitals that have more beds than the community needs. Commuter trains that have more cars than necessary. So, they're wasting all of that, fuel for the commuter train when maybe half of the train is empty. Overstaffed retail stores, or having too many meetings or the wrong people at meetings. Those are all errors in overproduction. And so the inventory can also be a waste as well. The waste of inventory and overproduction kind of go hand in hand. If a product's overproduced, then now you're going to waste money into renting a U-Haul storage place somewhere and then tying up that space. And now you're going to have to assign extra people to track and manage what's sitting in that storage space. So depending on where that inventory is, stored, it can also lead to wasted transportation and motion. So, besides the obvious idea of unsold products kind of sitting there in the warehouse, the waste inventory can be found in a lot of places. So the examples that come to my mind would be, shelves of unused office supplies, or maybe too much bedside equipment in the hospital, or if you have perishable items that just go bad before they're even sold or eaten, applications on your desktop that you've never used. So, as with overproduction, the best way to address inventory waste is to produce only what's requested and by that customer. Overprocessing is another type of waste. So when lean practitioners talk about overprocessing, we're talking about adding more complexity to a product, task, or a process than what's necessary to get that desired value. Overprocessing is more than just a problem in manufacturing. It happens in every sector. And here's what it looks like. Maybe you have software features that no one even uses. Maybe an MRI is going to be ordered when an X-ray would be just sufficient. or you're in a situation where there's identical data that's entered into more than one place on your laptop, or you have, 500 copies of the same file on your laptop, complex purchasing processes with multiple approval levels, frequently checking in to ask whether each element of a product or process is necessary is an excellent way to combat this overprocessing. Now, human potential. We never think about waste when we think about human potential. Perhaps, but it's actually the most damaging of all waste is human potential. Human potential is well spent when employees use the whole breadth of their skills, insights, talents, and creativities. Now, organizations that fail to kind of capture and act on these employee ideas for improvement miss out on the fullness of what could be possible. Wasted human potential can lead employees to feel not valuable, not valued, and then that leads to employee turnover and or increased absenteeism and disengagement. It costs companies so much money to recruit new people than to invest in letting invest in already existing employees. So examples of human potential loss would be employees that just don't have the opportunity to learn new skills or utilize their hidden ones. Employees that are not given opportunities to move up in the ladder in the organization, or even time that's spent correcting errors and responding to emergencies, or if you see that there's a situation where only a few executive employees are making all the decisions, and there's not input from anybody else. All right. Now we've kind of, so with that, let's cover this topic about just in time. So, and just in time is actually a lean production, terminology there. Now, lean production was introduced back in 1980s from these Japanese automakers, because lean production was caught on in after Japan was been using it for a long time in many U.S. industries. So it was a whole bundle of techniques to maximize profit, including ratcheting up the workloads, pacing to the point of breakdown, inviting workers to brainstorm and ways to increase their own employee exploitation. So a central component of just-in-time delivery it was where companies weren't spending to make extras or store anything until it was needed. So even within a plant, the parts and supplies would arrive exactly when, where, and in the quantities they had to. So manufacturing productivity in the US increased about 4% a year until the Great Recession of 2008 to 2010. But then it just collapsed. And why did it collapse? When this collapse, reflected that the exhaustion of lean production and its technology. The annual increase in the manufacturing productivity started to lag around 2019. Then it rose again in 2021 as the pandemic eased, but then again fell between 2020 and 2023. So technology has failed to improve worker output. So, and that's where, the 2020 International Labor Organization study for auto plants in US, Germany, and China found that the introduction of automation and robotics hadn't really been successful in restoring productivity and was often, abandoned. After a brief productivity increase in like trucking and warehouse following the Great Recession, productivity in all of these sectors collapsed. So, as of 2016, even delivery times from US suppliers to businesses were rising. So, businesses need to think twice. So, and the pandemic, pushed delivery times even longer. The COVID plus the climate-driven supply chain crisis, revealed just how vulnerable to disruption just in time was, and finally led businesses to reconsider some of those major aspects of lean production. Above all, this whole concept of just in time delivery and depending on just a single supplier. Now, shippers turned to holding, and as a result, shippers ended up holding on to more inventory. So the next new fad was just in time. The importance of just in time had been that it reduced costly inventory, whether it be parts or parts of finished products or the finished products themselves. Now, as productivity fell and delivery times rose, inventory grew to an average of 4.3% between 2010 and 2019. And so, this really hurt the profit rates and company competitiveness both domestically and internationally. So, how could companies get the advantage of just in time without high inventory costs? This became the question on the table. Now, the answer was found in the means that propelled Amazon's rapid growth. And the answer was keeping inventories relatively low by rapidly moving millions of products to thousands of locations. So Amazon's trick was to get payment from customers, mostly by credit card, before it pays the vendors whose products it sells. So that revenue it earned in this time gap would be referred to as free cash flow, a disguised form of otherwise taxable profits. Because while Amazon was holding this money, it could use that money to buy more goods and expand facilities to make even more money. So in 2022, Amazon made $12 billion in operating income, but also drew in $11.6 billion in free cash flow. So, but to make this work, it must move things rapidly and continuously. And this is neither just in time, this is definitely not a just in time concept being applied here. So, Amazon kind of has developed a dense logistics system that maximizes the velocity at which products move constantly, both within locations and between locations. So, this highly orchestrated and optimized model is now starting to shape logistics in the US economy as a whole. Companies like Target are following Amazon's lead, seeking to control inventory levels and outpace their rivals by creating dense networks of facilities and adding vehicles. So across the US, the number of trucks and warehousing and trucking facilities and even workers in these jobs are growing. In fact, forecasts are saying that logistics area is going to be a place where there's going to be a deficiency in workers. So if you get trained in logistics, it is well worth your time. You'll be a employee that will be in high demand. They also foresee that it will be highly paid jobs in logistics. So all of these changes are putting more pressure on the workers. But what is also taking shape is, has the companies abandoned lean methods in favor of digital technology? Is that there's more of a system, that we're creating a system with more nodes and links or points of connection, transfer, or exchange that's activated by human labor, both within the plants and between the plants, warehouses, and other facilities. So this is what we're looking at as challenges in the industry right now. All right, that brings us to our chapter 17, which is focused on quality. So quality of both products and services is ultimately, going to be defined by the customer. The customer is going to be continuously setting higher and higher standards. So a company's commitment to quality has to really start from top management so they can ensure that the entire company works towards improvements. Now, a commitment to quality determines everything from the design policy of the products and services to the design of the production processes to the quality of the suppliers and finally to the end use of the customer. So worker involvement is very pivotal since they have direct knowledge of the processes used and they're also the first ones to be aware of any changes. Now, the technical aspects of quality is going to focus on reducing variation and reducing factors that cause variation that are of both common cause variation and assignable cause. So statistical tools are readily available to study variation, and calculators and computers are taking a lot of that drudgery out of those calculations. So where possible, it's important to control the process rather than the product itself. So sampling plans test products after they're produced and do not directly improve the quality of products. But sampling is still necessary when the costs of failure are high in industries like pharmaceuticals and aerospace. So management can follow many, accepted programs like your ISO standards, Six Sigma, your QFD, quality for deployment, to drive these quality improvements. So high quality is a necessary part of lean production as companies work with lower inventories and faster product flows, which have been the topic, pretty much throughout the chapters in this book. So let's look at total quality management. Just in time and total quality management are both strategies that are used to improve organizational performance. Just in time focuses on producing what's needed when it's needed. Total quality management focuses on improving quality through continuous improvement. Now, total quality management fosters a culture where quality is going to be ingrained, and it is also focusing on encouraging teamwork, proactive problem solving, and a commitment to excellence. So, by integrating quality in all the processes and departments, total quality management aims to eliminate defects, streamline operations, reduce waste, and enhance the overall performance to ensure that there's long-term success and market competitiveness. Now, TQM focuses on customer satisfaction, employee involvement, process-oriented approaches, supplier relationships, all to drive a culture of quality excellence. It also sets guiding principles that include a strong focus on commitment to training and development of the existing staff and an emphasis on fact-based decision making. And this is what we mean by a culture of quality. And so that all of that will then lead to enhanced customer service. Now, total quality management isn't magic. It's a success is heavily dependent on strong leadership commitment, having systematic processes. So real world examples like Toyota Production System, Motorola Six Sigma, or even healthcare applications illustrate total qualities management on impact on quality enhancement in various industries. So let's take a deeper dive into some of the key principles of total quality management. Customer focus. So the principle of customer focus says that understanding, meeting, and exceeding the customer expectations is at the core. And with proper training, then you can have an enduring organizational culture that's able to anticipate and respond to customer feedback. And that would become, and the customer feedback is going to be key to remaining competitive. Now, leadership commitment is going to be also is also part of TQM, and so leadership is going to be active management participation, demonstrates and it models their dedication and involvement to championing these quality management achievements. The third thing that is also process improvement there, and employee involvement. So process-oriented approach is where we're emphasizing a systematic and structured method for achieving these quality goals. That systematic approach to process improvement is very much customer focused, with quality planning to improve quality in every touch or interaction with the customer in the customer journey. When I say evidence-based decision making, this is where all the decisions are not just blindly made on insights, but based on accurate data. And so and measuring things like organizational performance data. And so these principles, all of these principles collectively aim to cultivate a culture of quality, and it stresses that quality is everybody's responsibility, not just the quality department, but from the finance, the accounting, the retail, the sales, all of them should be invited to be part of establishing this culture of quality. All right, so that brings us to Six Sigma. because the two prevalent the two prevalent methodologies when companies are looking to enhance quality would be total quality management and Six Sigma. Now, both of these methodologies determine the quality or the process, but in TQM, total quality management says that the actions of the employees are really that deciding factor in maintaining existing quality standards, and that you can sustain quality standards by examining the functions of multiple business areas and then working to bring any underperforming segments back to the same level as the rest of the organization. Now, if you're looking at Six Sigma says, let's maintain and improve quality standards through process changes. It also focuses on creating additional measures to improve those results rather than upholding old processes. So, a Six Sigma business strategy works to reduce imperfections so that you can achieve that near perfect quality. Now, while both methods do use data to ensure quality, Six Sigma relies on statistics, using a statistical analysis to improve processes and reduce costs. Six Sigma uses data to identify the exact rate of errors that you can eliminate so that you can reach that optimal quality standard. TQM uses data to assess how well the business processes align with the expected operational quality of the company. So it emphasizes using regular data reports to facilitate decision making. Now, both Total Quality Management and Six Sigma use internal processes to maintain quality in all business practices. But Total Quality Management focuses on improving internal processes to advance the customer service and maintain the quality systems that are already in place. Six Sigma works to improve a single business process. So within Six Sigma, businesses are trying to implement changes within an existing system, but they're only working on one system at a time. So in this method, multiple projects can happen at once, but with each project that's going to be managed by a different Six Sigma certified employee. Now, TQM, Total Quality Management, it values a culture of collaboration. And since employees are integral to maintain the quality, the company that uses TQM is going to use it to guide the operational focus. Six Sigma's approach is that teams put in their efforts into the functional task of maintaining error-free operations by, constantly measuring performance through statistical analysis and improvement strategies. All right, so let's kind of wrap this up here, the difference between lean and total quality management. And that will bring us back. Sorry about that. So while all three, total quality management, Six Sigma, lean are aimed at improving quality and efficiency, lean focuses primarily on eliminating waste and optimizing process flow. Six Sigma is all about reducing defects and variations through data analysis. And then total quality management takes a holistic approach, says that we have to improve quality both in how we handle our employees as well as how we approach our customers outside of the organization. And so it's not just about, having things that are perfect processes, but it's also making sure that there's a culture about quality through continuous improvement and strong focus on things. Now, lean is all about prioritizing efficiency. Six Sigma prioritizes having a near perfect quality, and TQM prioritizes a comprehensive quality culture across the entire organization. So that's pretty much in a nutshell a way to differentiate the three methodologies. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. And this will be our last overview for this module, for this course, because Module 12 is the last module. All right. Thanks for joining me.